Hello, I'm Sarah Kurtz at the University of California, Merced, and I'm introducing you today to a new study that we're working on for the California Energy Commission, studying the value of long-duration energy storage. First, I'd like to introduce you to our team. I'm Sarah Kurtz, as I just mentioned. I also have partners at the University of California, Berkeley, Dan Kamen, and also Sergio Castellanos has now moved to the University of Texas, Austin. And we have at the University of California, San Diego, Patricia Hidalgo Gonzalez, and also at the University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill, we have Noah Kittner. And at each of these universities, we have some wonderful students who are helping us with the project. Our end goal is to achieve carbon neutrality gracefully. You may have heard that California is a leader in adopting clean energy. So California has made a plan to go to 100% carbon neutral and is working on reconfiguring the grid to be able to run without carbon emissions. Now, this past summer in August, we had some trouble and there was a big heat wave, and that heat wave led to higher air conditioning loads, and we ended up with some rolling blackouts for a couple of days. And the question here is, in the future, as we transition to a zero carbon grid, will we be able to do that without unexpected blackouts? Or will we be able to keep the lights on without emitting carbon dioxide? We definitely can do it, but we need to be careful about how we make the plan to transition to the new technology so we don't get surprised like we did last summer. So it's useful to think about the day last summer, August 14th, and to think about what that day would have been like if we didn't have fossil fuels. Today, to keep the lights on, we just plan to build more and more fossil fuel plants, like natural gas powered plants. But in the future, if we're shutting down those fossil fuel plants, how will we power the grid? The sun sets every day like clockwork. And in fact, you can use the sunset as your clock. And the wind often dies. Now, in California, typically the wind picks up at night, but there are some nights when it doesn't. And on those nights, we will need to have a different way of keeping the lights on. So we need to plan to have, and you can see that the state of California draws something approaching maybe 50 gigawatts. If we can run some fraction of that, maybe from hydropower or other sources, we're probably going to need more than 40 gigawatts of storage. Now, we can also use other things, demand management and other things, but it's different than today when we're using the vast majority of our electricity is coming from natural gas at that time. Now, to think about, it's not just during at the time of sunset, but all the way through the night. So if we think about one way to meet this challenge is to build a lot of solar, and then during the day, the solar electricity can charge some batteries or other kinds of storage. And then at night, we can discharge that storage to keep the lights on and the world running um, all through the night. And we can do a calculation, and from this day on August 14th, we found that we needed about 400 gigawatt hours of electricity to get through the night. So one way to think about that is that if you had this 40 gigawatts of storage, and if that 40 gigawatts has enough reserve energy to be able to run for 10 hours at that full power, we would be able to get through that night. Now, as we move toward this, there are many questions that arise. Solar plus batteries is one possible way to do this, but it's not clear that that's the way we will want to do it. So there are many questions to answer. What happens when there are clouds or smoke, and then we don't have much solar electricity? What happens during the winter when the days are shorter and the sun isn't as strong? Are there better solutions than solar plus batteries? Maybe we should keep our natural gas plants with carbon sequestration. Or are there cheaper storage technologies for storing large amounts of energy? If we're looking for those new technologies, what price target do they need to meet to be able to be useful? And what is the mix of all of these applications that will emerge? So we're just getting started with our study. I don't know when you'll be listening to this. Maybe by the time you listen to it, we'll be closer to being finished. But I wanted to give you this information. Our first public workshop can be found at this link. And we also welcome collaborations. If you would like to be in touch with me or my collaborators at UC Berkeley, the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, UC San Diego, or at the University of Texas at Austin, please feel free to contact any of us. And thank you for your attention.